Hello, George?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, how are you? It's Danny LaBelle.
Yeah, Danny, I'm doing all right.
And it's an honor to be talking to you.
Thank you.
George, you've been doing comedy forever, and you're a legend and respected by every comedian. Now, I have a lot of questions for you. You've done 13 specials. How did you start that relationship with HBO?
Here's the deal. Back in 1977, that's the year I did my first HBO special. I did another one the following year. My career had, gone into overdrive in 1972 with the release of the first Little David album. And that was FM and AM, and then came Class Clown, Occupation Fool, Toledo Window Box. Those four went gold. Then there were two more that weren't quite gold albums, but yeah, they're pretty good and everything, but they didn't quite sell at that level. So
right.
I was not the hot new guy anymore, and the world was changing. The end of the hippie era, free love, call it whatever you want, sexual revolution, youth movement, counterculture, all that shit. that had just faded, and disco had taken over the popular culture. And so life was changing in the culture, and I had to run out of my initial burst of energy creatively. Mm-hmm. So I kind of drifted a little bit creatively within myself for a while, and I did Carlin shows a lot. I did so far I've done about 135 or something Tonight shows. But the thing is this: HBO. The albums, the record albums, gave me a mass market, a way to reach a mass market, a nationwide market, whereas the concerts were very limited. You'd have 3,000 people, 4,000, and they would all talk to each other, but it's not like the same thing. So the albums were my way of reaching the mass, and then when that began to fade, HBO came along, and although they didn't have the subscribership that they have now, they had a lot of people. And I was able to build and continue to my relationship with the mass audience through HBO.
Right.
So that's where it came in, right when it was needed.
Now, your most recent special that you did, Life is Worth Losing, was a little bit grimmer than any of the other specials we've seen from you.
Well, yeah, one of my favorite things to do is to find out where people's sensitive areas are, find out the hot spots. Mm-hmm. Or the hot buttons, or whatever you want to call them. I like talking about things that make people uneasy, because it's fun to get them kind of tensed up a little, and wondering where you're going to go with this, because they know it's a sensitive topic, and then to show them how it's okay,
right,
to talk about it, to laugh about it, to think about it even.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is, just by my example of the material, is to kind of take them on a guided tour, in this particular show more than the others, on a guided tour of the danger zones,
Right.
Their own personal cultural danger zones, which are mostly artificially instituted in them anyway by the culture, and the religion and the government and the expected kind of behaviors we have. So I like breaking down all those walls. And as you know, even before this show, I've done that on a different kind of different other subjects.
But is there ever a time when you've done a bit and you felt, maybe I've gone a little too far with this? I don't know if they're understanding me. I don't know if they're feeling me.
Well, you know what? I don't really care if they understand me or feel me. I do this for myself.
Right.
This is for me, and if I get people to come along with me, that's a big bonus. And I can't exist without them, ultimately, in the long term, coming along with me. But now that I'm fully established in a long-term way,
right,
I don't have to worry about maybe alienating some people, because as many as I might alienate at this point, I would pick up that same number of new people,
right,
because that's just the way it works. And HBO, one of the values of HBO is that it cuts through all of the lines of age, education, race, income, neighborhood, all of these demographic things that separate us. Are non-existent when it comes to the HBO audience.
Right.
And that is why the concert audiences that I see at my shows, or anyone else would see, range from 15 years of age to people in their 50s and 60s.
Right.
And it's always been that way. I've always picked up more people. People have said to me, well, how's that audience? Have they stayed with you? And I say, I don't know. It doesn't bother. I don't care. I just, what I do, whoever's interested can come along, and that's fine. And I have a thing that I say sometimes when I'm talking to an audience like in Las Vegas, where there are notoriously crappy audiences.
Right.
And you do feel like you're talking to the wall some of the time, because they're just too stupid or too frightened or whatever it is.
Right.
And I often say to them, I say, listen, I don't give a shit if you like this stuff or not, because frankly, the audience doesn't figure into my plans. Mm-hmm. And I say this, which always gets a nice laugh. Right. I look at it this way. You're here for me, I'm here for me, and no one's here for you. And that just breaks down some of that tension, you know?
Your act has evolved so much over the years. I've watched some of your really early stuff.
Right.
And stuff you did in the 60s. The Hippy Dippy Weatherman. I love that bit. Do you think over the years you've gotten angrier? Or is it just you've always felt the same way, but you've just over the years been able to come out with it more?
Well, there's a couple of things I got to remember in giving you this answer, and it's kind of long. There's a couple of layers here. Remind me to come back to the word anger, okay? And then the word artist. There's a lot of things. First of all, I'm very out of step with everything. I've never felt like I belonged to anything. The church, mm-hmm. I guess as a young kid, a little kid, I had some of that. I guess I had a little bit of I'm an American stuff when I was a little kid and still naive. But for the most of my adult life and the memory I have, I've never really felt a part of this country or a part of this, my religion that was given to me, or even of my species. I don't identify with my species. Mm-hmm. Abraham Maslow said, the truly realized man does not identify with the local group. Mm-hmm. And I do not identify with the local group, which is my fellow man or my neighborhood or my profession. I don't hang out with comedians. I'm not a spokesman for comedy or anything. I'm just kind of do my thing, and I'm friendly. I'm a friendly person. From the anger standpoint, so being out of step like that has made me at odds with everything there is pretty much out there in the culture, mm-hmm. whether it's the serious culture or the pop culture. So we'll put that up as a starter that I don't agree. I do not conform. I do not agree. Then add the fact that artists are on a journey usually. I mean, I know that I'm an entertainer, and it's a lesser place than artist. And I know that I'm a stand-up comic, and that's considered kind of a low rung on the totem pole. I don't mind any of those things. I'm a stand-up comic, and I'm an entertainer. But some of us are also artists. There are entertainers only. There are artist entertainers. And I think an artist is moving and growing and in pursuit of something that he really doesn't understand or know. You can't put your finger on it. All artists, composers, choreographers, dancers. Dancers are interpretive artists usually, but purely creative, the writer, the composer, those people have something that propels them, and they're never satisfied. So that, I think, is alive in me and has pushed me forward to find more things in myself to say about what I see and hear around me. The third thing to remember is I have never really had much anger in my personal life. I don't have a temper. I can get irritated like anyone else. I can get frustrated like anyone else. But I don't live with anger. Anyone who's been around me for any appreciable length of time probably has never seen me lose my temper.